The most underrated prepping item? Let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I want to talk to you today quickly about the most underrated prepping item that you can have in your kit or even first aid kit. So I see a lot of people and I see a lot of, survival bags and inch bags and bob bags and, everything else under the sun bag. From get home bags and things like that, emergency bags, first aid bags, all that. And you see all the time, and they'll prep and they'll put in water filters and fire kits and stoves like they're going on a holiday for 2 weeks. And that's great and all. But the basics. I have been caught out a few times. Now I have a personal kit in my bag. And it's something as simple as this. It's literally a 70-piece sewing kit. Now I picked this up on eBay for £6, okay? And it's one of the most underrated items that you can possibly have in your bag. A lot of people don't really have anything in. They'll have a big canvas needle and that's all right, but for the modern camper hiker like myself, we don't really have canvas. It's too heavy, it's too thick. Yeah, it's waterproof and all that lot, but we just prefer DD tops and things like that. They're a lot easier, they're lighter, they're just easy to work with. Now, aside of, you need sewing kits, and you don't even need them this big. You can pick them up half the size of this. They're great for obviously around the house when you're repairing stuff. But it came to once upon a time when I needed a kit like this. And it doesn't weigh anything, it doesn't cost anything to chuck in the bag. I ripped my tarp during the middle of the night one time in the Lake District. And the weather can turn, really bad up there from 1 second to another. 1 minute it's nice and sunny, the next it's really bad and it's downpour and it's heavy rain. And I caught a little tear and it was dripping on me in my tarp overnight constantly. And I woke up in the morning absolutely freezing. I couldn't get warm. I wasn't hypothermic, but I was pretty borderline. I was really cold. I had to wrap up in a couple of survival blankets and things like that because I'm always prepared for stuff like that. I had to get a load of hot water on the go and try and drink a load of coffees and hot chocolates and things like that to try and bring my body up to temperature. But for something that is so simple in to repair a tarp with, a set of needles and a bit of thread and something like that, it is really underlooked and it's such a shame. You've even got sort of things like safety pins and you can use them for fishing and stuff like that if you had to really use them. You still got all your cutting tools like your scissors and stuff, which always come in handy when you're out. And obviously you've got your various different types of colour of thread. You can have nylon and all sorts of different threads and stuff. If you have an accident, I've been there before. Now this isn't medical advice, but I've cut myself as well. I'm pretty hardcore when it comes to camping and things like that. I'll pretty much go out in all weathers and conditions and things. Fog is quite my favourite condition because it's just so eerie. I love it. So cut myself on a branch just going through a forest once. Only a little, I don't know, half-inch cut, but it was quite deep. Kept bleeding. So didn't have anything really on me. Had some super glue and stuff. They say you don't use super glue, but needs must if it's first aid reasons. You've got to improvise with what you've got. But I literally sewed myself up with this and it stopped bleeding. And I went to the hospital the next day and they said, you've done a great job, that's fine. Obviously we don't recommend you use that and I don't recommend you use this. There's a last resort. This does come in handy for emergency uses. And it's just so underrated. People just don't seem to have them. If you've got to sew up shoes and laces and things. Now I've just brought this one just to show you how cheap they actually are for 70 pieces. You've got pins in there and things. You've got cutting tools and you've got a whole array of loads of different size needles and stuff. And they just always come in handy for lines and stuff. And if you had to, and it was really cold in a survival situation, you could use all this as tinder and it'd like no problem. I generally keep this one. This one's my army issue BCB one. Pretty straightforward. Kind of made bits of it myself over the years. As you can see, got a spare lace in there as well because I have had that happen to me. where I've broke a shoelace while I've been walking and hiking and stuff. Absolute nightmare. You know, your shoes are flopping all over the place, and paracord just doesn't seem to cut it sometimes. So now I use a proper shoelace again, and we crack on. So mine's got pretty much the same stuff in. It's not as you know advanced as this one, let's say, but this is just a standard BCB one. Got extra threads and stuff in there, and obviously in this one I've just got a hell of a lot of buttons, loads and loads of buttons in there. You know, a good bag full of them. There's probably 30 or 40 in there. But something that's so overlooked, just grab yourself a little kit, guys. Keep it around the house. If you don't even do camping and stuff, it's just great. You know, back in the day when you was young, God, I'm sounding old now, and you went to your grandma's or your mother's, and you'd always see, oh, Rose's tin on the dressing table or whatever, the dresser in the hallway. You're like, oh, I'll have some of them when no one's looking. I'll pinch, a couple of them, but generally you want 10 and stick a load in your pocket. And then she'll always turn around and say, don't ruin your dinner. And you get to open the tin, and it's bloody full of, sewing bits and them tiny little metal wheels, and needles and threads and all sorts, and even wool in there and stuff. I'm like, oh god, so you're gutted, but it's one of them things. But they don't really seem to have them no more, and it's sad that in the older generations they always prepared for stuff like that. They had proper kits and really good stuff, and like baking and things like that. It's just the basics, and for £6 you can't really go wrong with that kit. I mean, there's all sorts of multitude of colours in there. There's even a tape measure in there, decent little scissors, a few extra buttons which you always need because you're always breaking buttons and stuff and snagging them on branches. I just thought for £6 I'd do a little video on this just to show you guys that, this one will be staying in my house. If you've got a bag and stuff, and you're going to town, and with the way the world is at the minute, the world's absolutely a nightmare. But with regards to getting the basics in for £6, you can't really beat it. Nice little sewing kit, guys. What do you have in your bag? Let me know. Please let me know in the comments. Please like, subscribe, guys. See you on the next one.